Hi, this is Ace Frehley. You may remember me from such films as Kiss Save Santa.
But Mrs. Claus, who would kidnap Santa?
Where I rescued Santa from the pterodactyls.
Hang on, Santa, we're coming.
Hurry, boys, the eggs are hatching.
With the sound of my guitar.
Everyone knows pterodactyls can't stand the screech of a guitar.
You're listening to Jeremy White.
You just practiced that guitar, Santa. Next time we'll let you do a solo.
Don't encourage him.
The Jeremy White Podcast. Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
The Jeremy White Podcast.
With Bustan. For the best Lebanese cuisine in Montreal, it's got to be Bustan. Visit bustan.ca.
Watch the Jeremy White Podcast exclusively on YouTube.
Hi, Jeremy, this is Ace.
Hey, so what's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening?
Not much. First of all, what the hell's wrong with you doing interviews at 10:30 in the morning? I had to get up early for this.
Join the fucking club.
Oh, man.
I just drove in from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. I bought a Jaguar there the other day.
Oh, nice.
Me and my girlfriend drove it back. We got in at 11:15.
Jeez. Where are you, back in Jersey now?
Yeah. We just got a place in Jersey, building a new recording studio in the basement, and
Nice.
loving it.
You gonna
Looking forward to the fall and Christmas and the snow. You know, I was living in California for 11 years, and I missed the seasons, so I'm happy to be back east because, you know, between the fires and the earthquakes in California, I'm happy to be gone.
Yeah,
Feel
yeah.
sorry for the people out there that are going through all that shit and losing their homes and whatnot.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Like, I see some of the pictures on Facebook and stuff, and I'm like, it looks like something out of a Halloween movie or something. It's like a horror show over there.
Fucking A. I mean, and it's not just there. It's happening in Colorado, and Colorado's having the worst fire they've had in 70 years.
Yeah. Well, it was all because of that damn gender reveal party, eh? Like, somebody thought they were at a KISS concert, and they ended up setting off some pyro at their damn kid reveal party. And it's like, really? Like, come on.
Crazy shit, you know? And in the middle of all this crazy weather, you got the pandemic to deal with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not helping. And people that are sick can't even get to a hospital.
No.
I saw some footage of YouTube, man. I saw a fucking hospital go rolling down a fucking hill because of a landslide, you know, because they're getting torrential rains, you know. The whole world is going crazy.
Jeez, I didn't see that footage. The hospital went down the hill.
Middle of it, in the middle of it all, I'm coming out with a new record.
Yeah. Well, Origins Volume 2 is coming out this Friday on Entertainment One, limited edition double LP with super special swirls. They're awesome. You can pre-order them. Now, I pre-ordered both of them. I got the advanced copy of the album digitally. I was like, no, fuck that. I pre-ordered the 2 LPs. I want to listen to them when they get here. I want to slap them on the turntable and have that first listen experience. I'm excited for it.
A lot of people are going back to vinyl. That's making me happy. You know, it sounds better.
Talking about vinyl and going back to like how everything old is new again. You know, back when you were recording with the first couple of KISS records, compared to now, you know, I was talking about this with another guitarist last week. How he uses a lot of the same old amps that he used on his earlier records, and he still uses them today. How do you think guitar tones have changed through the years? I mean, you know, if you go listen to those early KISS records and you listen to the guitar tone, and then if you took that same amp and used it today, how come they sound different?
Well, you know, we didn't have Pro Tools back then. You know, digital recording with all these different plugins and with new algorithms that emulate vintage sounds. But, you know, a lot of it has to do with digital reverbs and stuff that weren't available to us. You know, well, you know, when you think about stuff that was recorded at the power station, like for example, that song "Addicted to Love" by Robert Palmer. You know, they got that ambient drum sound by pumping the snare drum into a hallway and re-recording it back into the tape machine.
Right.
Because they didn't have digital reverbs then. You know, now we got, you know, so many different types of special effects that, just make the production sound that much better, bigger, natural doubling effects. Me and John Five used a special auto panner, for the guitar solo in Politician. That came out so cool. And that's pretty much it. Editing is so much easier with Pro Tools. It's a click of the mouse, In the early days with KISS, we'd have to cut the tape with a razor blade and put it back together with, special tape, hoping you wouldn't hear the click when it went by.
Was there a lot of punching in and punching out on those KISS records? Was there a lot of editing that had to be done?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes we had to fix. Even on the live, Volume 1,
Yeah.
We overdubbed a lot of the mistakes and, made it sound better than the original recording. But, at this juncture, Paul and Gene have admitted to that, And we had audience loops. Eddie Kramer had like 3 quarter-inch tape machines with long loops going around, and he'd have 3 faders. One was one kind of audience reaction, second one was a stronger audience reaction, and then was number 3, which was like everybody going completely apeshit.
You can blend up.
We used a lot of shit
Yeah.
to make that album sound more exciting, but pretty much the heart of the record is still our live performance, and what made that album so great was the packaging and the booklet. It was like a souvenir of a KISS concert, and KISS was a very strong band live, and I think that's what made that album so successful.
Yeah, it really did sell the KISS experience to the mass population. Talking about KISS Alive 1, it's celebrating that big anniversary of this year. Do you have any special moments that or memories that you'd want to share about the album?
Not really.
Yeah. You're just like, meh, it's in the past. It's all cool. It was fun, but whatever.
You got to remember, what was that, 40 years ago?
I think it's 45 now.
Oh, okay. Well, after all the alcohol and drugs I've done over the years, I lost a few brain cells, so my memory's not what it used to be.
Hey, it is what it is.
Thank God tomorrow I'm celebrating 14 years sober, so
there you go.
That's a blessing.
Honestly, to be honest, though, through this pandemic, I'm surprised nobody's fallen off the wagon and, just sitting at home, nothing else to do. I spoke to a lot of, I still keep in touch with a lot of my AA friends, and a couple of them have relapsed, because of the stress. It's been very stressful on people. Yeah.
Some people think it's the end of the world, the beginning of the end, and people panic. People having financial difficulties, so they decide to go out and have a drink. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I'm in a situation where I don't have any financial issues right now. I have a new girlfriend, and I got my daughter living with me, and my girlfriend's 2 kids, 14 and 17, and it's like the Brady Bunch.
It's the Frehley family over there. Spaceman's now daddy. It's you got the whole thing going on.
And my daughter just flew in with her dog, and my girlfriend Laura's got a big giant poodle with a bark like a German Shepherd. We got 5 acres, so it works out fine though.
Dog was he running around?
I just went outside to walk the dog. And there were 2 bears climbing a fucking tree.
Like a full-grown bear?
Yeah. Well, we live in the woods, We're surrounded by a wooded area, and we're in the back of a housing development, with about 35 homes,
Nice.
They're only about 10 years old. But, we're in the back, and from our tree line, the next house is about a half a mile away. So it's just all woods. So, behind our house, there's bears, deer, rabbits, squirrels, everything. Anything you can think of. I thought I saw some wolves the other day.
Nice. Yeah, see, I'm from I live just outside of Montreal, so I'm from a native reservation, so we're Mohawks over here. So on in my town, like it's pretty much just like wooded area. So it's kind of like the same situation for me. I'm like right in the middle of the woods sometimes. Like my parents, they live right along the water, and it's all woods, and we got that all the time. Christ, there was like a freaking moose just standing in the driveway not long ago. It's gotta love that. Dude, I'll tell you what.
I know. We went up. We have a 650-foot driveway, and like the first week we had moved in, we pulled in the driveway, and there was a black bear, 10 feet from the car, and I just opened the window and said, "Get the fuck out of here!" And he ran to the woods,
Fuck, I'll tell you one time. So the guy that lives down the road from my parents, he had like this. I don't know what his deal was, but it was like he was having goats and like he had a donkey at one point. This fucking guy. So we had this gardener at my parents' house, and the guy was deaf, but the guy would blast the freaking radio in the garage while he was like doing his shit or whatever. So he's standing in there, and the guy's deaf, right? He turns around, and the fucking donkey is in the garage dancing to the music that is playing on the radio. Holy shit! He lost his mind.
You're fucking killing me, man. I got a fucking shotgun loaded with 00 buck. If any of the big bears get too close, fuck them.
Yeah, just take them out.
They're going down.
Yeah. Hey, you were saying that you're building a home studio in your new house.
Yeah, in the basement. We got a 3,000 square foot basement with poured concrete, so it's perfect for a studio. Building a gym down there because my girlfriend's a personal trainer, and a video editing studio. We got storage down there. It's
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the fall and winter. I'm going to be a busy guy working on. I've already started writing stuff for my new next studio record because I just re-signed with E1 for another 3 albums.
Oh, nice. That's good news.
Yeah. There will be an Origins Volume 3 as well.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that in a second. But I was always curious about this. With you being super proficient and like an early adopter of computers and technology, in 1987, what did you think of Def Leppard's Hysteria and how Mutt Lange just took technology and totally elevated the sound of music with the way they produced that album?
Mutt's a great producer. I always wanted to work with him, but I never had a chance to. But I've worked with guys like Eddie Kramer and Bob Ezrin who, are amazing producers. It taught me a lot of shit. When Paul and Gene, when we used to finish a recording session, with Eddie Kramer, those guys would leave. I'd stay behind and sit, with Eddie for half an hour or an hour, and I'd have him teach me how to use compressors and limiters and EQs and digital delays. And, I learned a lot from Eddie Kramer, probably more than anybody.
Yeah. So did that come into play, recording these last couple of albums? Like, are you like producing them sitting there like behind the console with the mix engineer saying, oh, you know what, maybe lower the threshold on that compressor, or, maybe, let's compress the reverb on that little trail of guitar? Like, are you super involved in that sense?
Totally. I even engineered a lot of the stuff on some of my records. Since I signed my first, did my first album with E1, Anomaly. Well, that was an Anomaly was with a different label, but E1 re-released it. But I've been, producing my records for the last, whatever.
Yeah.
And even my 78 solo album, I believe I co-produced with Eddie Kramer, and it's nice, being able to, I have the knowledge, and I have more knowledge now than I've ever had, and I'm become very proficient at using Pro Tools, digital editing. With Pro Tools, you can edit visually. You don't even have to hear the goddamn thing. You can see the snare hit. You can see the bass drum hit, because you're looking at the waveform on a 50-inch monitor, and you can see where to edit it. And 9 times out of 10, you can do it without even hearing it.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, if you had the option, would you go back to cutting and splicing tape?
No fucking way, man. I have a 24-track tape machine. It's collecting dust in my locker. One of my 7 storage lockers filled with junk. But, you know, I still have a lot of my old vintage amps and guitars and microphones. You know, and I use a lot of miking techniques I learned from Eddie and Bob and other producers I've worked with. So, you know, I try to create that vintage guitar sound, and I think I achieve it. But eventually it's all going to hard drive and going to be knocked down to 44.1 HZ and thrown on the CD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could always, you know, track it analog and then just re-record it digitally and then mix and edit in there. But who the hell wants to do that?
Yeah,
Just throw a plug-in on it, it's done.
I mean, you know, drums, you know, the only thing I miss about tape machines is the drum compression you get. You know, when you record drums on a tape machine at 15 IPS, you get this actual drum sound that has this natural tape compression, you know, with analog tape, and that's pretty hard to recreate. But, you know, every day they're coming out with new plugins that emulate vintage recording and vintage tape machines, and they're sounding close enough, you know, that I'm happy with it.
Talking about Eddie Kramer, he actually has his own tape emulation plugin, so, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, digital recording has, in the last 10 years, is really, you know, it's just the way technology is.
Yeah, well, it's advanced like everything else.
So,
you know?
so has digital recording, you know, everything's just flying. You know, they used to say 10, 15 years ago, you know, technology doubles every 10 years. I think now it's probably more like 5 years, you know.
Well, yeah, because there's just so many people working to innovate and create new shit. You know, you constantly have something new in the market every other day.
I just had my computer guru here at the new house, and he's, you know, setting me up with cameras all around the house and cameras in my doorbell. You know, that whole Ring system where they come up on your iPhone. You know, if somebody rings your doorbell and you're in California, you can talk to them. I mean, it's amazing how far technology has gone. But he said to me, he goes, you know, he's worried about, you know, artificial intelligence. Some idiot, you know, presses the wrong button and lets the computer take over. You know, that whole scenario that those Terminator movies talk about. That could happen.
You know, what's it going to do, though? What, just ring your doorbell over and over again? It's not going to pick up your house and move it.
Well, I'm not talking about computers for my house. I'm talking about computers that may control weaponry, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Artificial intelligence could be scary if it's not controlled properly.
Well, hey, I wanted to just really quickly, you know, going back to you saying that, you know, you still use a lot of your vintage amps and vintage guitars. You know, what was your guitar rig on this album?
Well, I still pretty much track everything with my favorite Les Paul. But then I like to double them with Fenders or Strats. I started recently using an old Dane Electro.
Nice.
Which has different sound because it's got those lipstick pickups. And, you know, I experiment. A lot of times I'll even add an acoustic guitar on an electric guitar track and tuck it under. And you really don't hear the acoustic, but it fattens up the track. And the only time you hear it is if you pull it out. You miss it. And I learned that from Pete Townshend. You listen to a lot of some of the old Who tracks. You know, his Fender guitar is what the loudest thing in the mix, but under it, he doubles things with acoustic guitars a lot of times.
Right. Yeah, it's true. And that's if you just bury it underneath the electric, like you said, it just kind of like fattens up the track. Are you using any of your old like KISS amps on this album, or?
I use old Fender Tweeds and old Marshalls, Vox. Pretty much those three, the three main amplifiers I use. I got an old Gibson amp, all tubes, you know.
Yeah.
And I use old microphones and 57s, of course, for guitar. mixed in with. I like the combination of a ribbon condenser, a ribbon mic, or like a condenser mic with a 57, and blending those together. And then I also use 2 preamps. I got a rack of Focusrite and Universal Audio preamps, and
so it's a pretty analog chain
really
going into
make
Pro
the
Tools.
difference. Excuse me?
I said, so it's a pretty analog chain going into the Pro Tools rig.
Well, that's why my guitars still sound like vintage guitar sounds,
Yeah.
Because I make that effort to, I use analog gear, and then everything's going to go to hard drive eventually, but,
Yeah.
the more I can do analog, vintage sounding, I strive for that,
Yeah.
using old equipment.
And, just listening to the Space Truck and watching the video, like, guitars sound great, sound massive, sounds like vintage Ace, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, well, I tracked that years ago. That was supposed to go on Origins Volume 1, but I wasn't really happy with the original track with my guitar work at the time. So I revisited that for this record. I redid the guitar solo, redid the vocal, tightened up the edits. And with Pro Tools, it's so easy to move things around and re-edit and, switch things around.
Yeah.
And it sounds good now.
Yeah.
A lot better than it did when I first recorded it.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, well, real quick before we wrap up, 12 tracks on Ace Frehley Origins Volume 2. It's available Friday, E1. Go and pre-order it now. Get those awesome vinyl swirls up there, limited edition copies. Before we go, I just wanted to know, how important was it for you to have a track with Rob and Zander on Origins Volume 2? Because, back in the day, Kiss and Cheap Trick, they were kind of like the go-to for a lot of fans. And to have Ace and Robin on a track now, it's kind of like, damn, like this is childhood come true.
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind the Origins series is for me to re-record music that influenced me as a kid. And I was a huge Humble Pie fan, but I could never sing like Steve Marriott. And, I bumped into Robin a few years ago, and he expressed, a desire to work with me on some of my future records. So when I decided to do 30 Days in the Hole, I figured Robin could probably kill that vocal, and I sent him an MP3 of it because he lives in Florida, and he just killed that vocal. I love what he did to it.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to hear it. Coming out Friday, Ace Frehley Origins Volume 2. Thanks a lot for chatting, man. Appreciate it. And best of luck with the album. I can't wait to hear it. So what do you got planned for the new album, like of originals? Is it going to sound like classic Rock Soldiers Ace, or are we going to get like a modern Ace?
I like I said, I'm always striving to get vintage guitar sounds. I think, I'm known for that. So many guitar players have been influenced by my sound. I'm really not going to change my guitar sound very much. I might write something a little out of the ordinary, or, that people are used to hearing. Who knows what's going to happen? Every day, I wake up and I come up with a new idea. I've already written 3 new songs, this past month, and I'm in the middle of building a studio in my basement. So once that's completed, I'm going to start tracking the next studio record, and that'll probably be out next year around this time. They usually wait at least a year.
Yeah.
So, this album, Origins Volume 2 was finished last Christmas, but because of the pandemic, they withheld the release. So I can't wait, for it to be released and get the feedback from the fans, because so far I've done about 100 interviews, and about 80% of the interviewers think this is a better record than Origins Volume 1. I just hope the fans agree with them.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to slap on that vinyl and the turntable, have a listen, and, just enjoy. That's the whole point of it at the end of the day, right? Just enjoying as a fan. Well,
the whole idea behind rock and roll is supposed to be fun. You get out there, you listen to music, and it makes you happy. Kiss used to be fun for me. When it got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore, I quit.
Right.
1981, Gene was over merchandising the band. They wanted to tour constantly. I didn't want to tour. I wanted to drive my sports cars and hang out with my friends, in between. That they were workaholics. And I wanted to go to Studio 54 and enjoy my stardom.
Hey,
so,
come on. It's not a bad thing.
So, we butted heads on that because they wanted to constantly tour. And I said, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Plus with the success of my 78 solo album with New York Groove, it was kind of like the writing on the wall for me because I was much more creative away from those guys than with them. So I knew, within a few years I'd be leaving the group to form up my own band. And so far, so good, one day at a time. Tomorrow I celebrate 14 years sober, and that's a milestone for me. Never thought I'd reach that, but with the help of God, I have. So
yep.
I still take it one day at a time, Jeremy.
No, I hear you, man, and it's great. I mean, congratulations on the sobriety. Congrats on the new album, and looking forward to many, many more years of Ace Frehley. I'll tell you that.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. You have a great day.
All right, you too. I'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.